All right, you're watching DefenseReview.com. We are back with Dave Pavlick of Arsenal Democracy, and he is going to take us through some of the, essentially these are standard Glock frames, grip frames, that have been modified quite heavily by Arsenal Democracy. And so he's going to tell us what they've done. He's also going to show us some extended mags here. And, base plates, extended mag base plates. So here we go.
So these are Gen 4. You can tell by the width of the dust cover there, and by the actual mag release. These are Gen 4 Glock 19s. So we came out with our Magwell a little over a year ago for the Glock 17, 22, 34, 35. Ever since we came out with those, we've been hit up constantly to come out with a 19. So we finally have. We came out with a Glock 19 for Gen 3 and Gen 4 Magwell. This is the Type 1. Type 1 is a flat bottom. It is probably the lowest profile we could come up with. It extends a little bit further, probably than most. We're running very thin to kind of continue on that profile there. It has a, I guess you call it a bobtail, to really kind of go with the concealed carry there. There's no snag points, but it still has our signature facets here for being able to strip a mag from the side, and then our finger groove in the front to help index the way we actually load magazines and conduct that liftoff, instead of where most people have a long duckbill magwell. You kind of have to do this weird liftoff here. You can just index there. It guides along that groove, and then the mag's loaded like that.
All right, we showed that in a previous video.
Yep, so this is Type 1. Again, all of our magwells feature a brass plug. That brass plug adds weight to the butt, and it's just a great material to use, because aside from the aesthetic value, it does actually make the gun a little more shootable as far as recoil and balance.
All right, so next we've got the Gen 2 here.
So this is Type 2.
Type 2.
Type 2 actually is the one that resembles our full size the most, and it resembles it because it has that bit of that tail hook there. Now, when most folks look at Type 1 and Type 2, most consumers would kind of go with the Type 1 first over the Type 2. The Type 2, even though it has this added hook, people think that might print more. When you insert a magazine, the magazine actually doesn't really extend. This doesn't extend past the magazine. It almost stays pretty close to flush with it. So it doesn't really add more, but most people, when they actually pick them up and feel both, they lean towards the Type 2. And the Type 2 was really developed for some operators who they overt carry the Glock 19 as their primary, or excuse me, secondary, and they want something that maximizes. That tail hook acts as a ramp, a pretty big ramp for the loading of the magazine, and they just love it, and they love the feel, the flare against the palm while they're actually holding it. So we went with that, and yeah, so we're going to be offering both for both Gen 3 and Gen 4, Type 1 and Type 2. But Type 2 is really kind of geared more towards the military and the overt user, whereas this is as low profile as we can really get for the concealed carry enthusiast.
All right, and you also have some, essentially some modified Hyve Technologies extended base plates.
Right. So you know, I'm a good friend of the owner of Hyve, and basically this was kind of born out of. I was at an event up at Fort Bragg with some friends of mine, and they were shooting. They were asking about the compatibility of our Magwell with a pretty big aftermarket base pad manufacturer. They weren't too happy with not only the pricing, but the quality and kind of the way it didn't really interact too much with what they were currently using. So I said, give me a month, and I'll talk with Hyve, and I'll see what we can do. We're going to make you a better product. So when I spoke to him, he modified his existing base plate. So this started off for full size first. This is a +5. we changed the geometry slightly and the way it's fixed in. So this uses set screws like this. These are blind hole set screws. So this can go, this can be configured two different ways. It can go with a puck that would basically make this flush if you were using it on a non-Magweld full-size pistol, or you can remove it and attach it with these two set screws, and it will basically link up opposite and opposed to our specific Magwell.
So let's just show it real
and
quick.
it creates a great fit. Well, so this is the full size, but in the case of the 19, the +3, you'll see there that kind of fits with that curve there, the way those fit opposite and opposed.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that, and then so we added, we made it 100% Berry compliant. So all of this hardware is American sourced hardware. We get it from McMaster Car supplier here. We don't use any kind of YFS screws or any other screws sourced from Taiwan or China. These are 100% American made, to include the aluminum. And then we textured it using our E2 method. So that's sprayed molten steel to create that texture, and then it's anodized over. So per this military contract, we made some that are black and some that are FDE. The FDEs were for the 40 cals. The black were for 9mm, so they could be able to discern them visually. And so it started with the 17 and that Magwell contract, and we delivered both of those products along with the spring. And then the latest is the 19. We just got done here at SHOT speaking with several units and a couple agencies interested in the 19. And again, they gravitate towards the Type 2, and they want base plates and the Magwell combo together. These are folks who want that extra texture. So the way this texture is set up and the way the hardware is set up, it's maritime oriented, so a lot of it will resist salt water corrosion. It's rougher. There is going to be a commercial version available, but it will be more of an eggshell type texture, not this hyper rough texture. I know a lot of folks might think they want exactly what the military folks get, but take my word for it, this is way too rough for civilian commercial use. It will absolutely eat duty belts. It will destroy regular civilian clothes, competition type shirts, silky shirts. It will just tear them apart. The eggshell type will still offer a good amount of grip, good tactile feel, but it will be a lot more carry, everyday use friendly, range friendly. This is more designed for gloves if they're in an Arctic area or cold weather area, and for guys who are wearing Cordura 800 denier nylon, a lot of high wear, high resistance stuff. Guys go in and out of water. Guys around super high lubricant stuff like hydraulic fluid and things like that. That's why we have this level of texture and grit.
Very cool. And by the way, I forgot, are you doing maritime spring cups in all your Glocks or just some of them? Or?
So for people who send in Glocks, we actually do the conversion on. That is an option. We will happily do it. Most folks don't need that, but some of the military customers do. And all of our black sides, to include the black side MC or black side full size, they are maritime capable. We want to be able, as long as we use ball ammunition, they can shoot, cycle, and fire underwater.
Any downside to sticking maritime spring cups in there?
None that we found. We haven't had any kind of issues. It is technically less drag because there's less bearing surface within the Glock channel liner. So there hasn't been any downside other than, if you don't want to shoot underwater, I guess maybe that might be it.
Gotcha. Well, very cool. And all this stuff is available right now, right?
So we haven't gone live commercially with Type 1 or Type 2 Glock 19 Magwells yet, but we will within the next, probably next 3 weeks. Those will be up and available on the website. And commercial versions...
Same situation here?
Commercial versions of these, they will have Hyve's markings on them. They will be that eggshell texture, not this super rough texture here.
And this is +3 and this is +5.
+3 for the 19, +5 for the 17. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, thank you very much. Black Side Glock Pistols by Arsenal Democracy, SHOT Show 2018, and you are watching DefenseReview.com.